Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another FutureFit video. Today we're back with our little fast food healthy version series. Today we're gonna be making something a little different. Taco Bell. Right now we have got the Crunchwrap Supreme, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. It's a staple at Taco Bell. How can we make it a little healthier? How can we make it something that you can yourself make at home? We're gonna find that out right now. All right guys, we've got a couple of our basic ingredients laid out here. There are a few more that are not on screen right now. Of course, we will have the recipe in the description so you can follow along if that's what you prefer. All right, we're gonna get started. We're gonna start with the spice blend, and we're gonna have Connor. You may remember him from our last video, our little Chick-fil-A challenge video. Make sure you check that out if you haven't already. We're gonna bring him on and we're gonna make the spice blend for our meat real quick.
All right guys, so unlike last time, this spice blend is gonna be a little more complex, but it's not too difficult if you guys just follow along. So starting off, we're just gonna start off with our salt. You don't have to add a crazy amount of salt, but just enough for what you're making. So we're gonna do 3. Actually, no, we'll do 3.5. Yeah. All right. You just got some black pepper. This is freshly ground. You can also just use the already grounded pepper. Doesn't really matter. Depending on how much you want, you can just tweak this and add more or less. I'm just gonna add a little generous amount. Alrighty. Then we got this. This is pretty important. This is gonna be cumin. Again, I would definitely tweak how much you want depending on how much you like the taste of cumin, but I like a pretty good amount in mine. Actually, let me just. Actually, no. Hold on, give us 1 second. Alright, let's take the cap off. Got a pretty generous amount of cumin in there. People just want to eyeball it. Don't do too much, don't do too little. That's a pretty good amount. Probably would add less if I was you, but. Alright, we got a little onion powder. Add that in. That's all the onion powder we have. Alrighty. Then we add some garlic powder. I like to go pretty generous with garlic, especially like our last episode. Alright. Get all of that. Then, again, this one's going to be optional. This one is cayenne pepper. If you guys like a little heat, definitely would recommend adding some of this. I like to add quite a bit because I like to eat quite a bit of spice. So, it's not quite a bit, but depending on how much spice you like, you could tweak that too. Alright, then we got a little bit of thyme. I'm not going to put too much thyme, but just a little bit. Alright. And then we got our paprika. You can go pretty generous with the amount of paprika you do. Okay, perfect. And that should be all. After you've done this, pretty much just want to get a spoon, mix it up, and it should be all good to go for actually cooking your meat. Alright guys, we're done mixing the spices. So now we're just going to take this and get to cooking the meat so we can assemble everything. Alright, so the pan is hot now, and you can see the oil's a little more spread out. So we're going to take our meat now, and we're just going to pour it in.
Too late, just be like.
Alright, so now that our pan is hot and the oil is nice and spread out, you can see, put a little bit in there just to check. We're going to get our meat, and we are just going to spoon it in. Now we get a little spooned in. We're going to mix it up a little bit. And now we're going to take our seasoning. But since our seasoning is a little bit high on the salt, we're not going to do a crazy amount, just enough to really get inside there. Alright, so that's about a little bit, like 3 spoonfuls about. Maybe a little less would work, but that's what we're going with today. And then we're just gonna mix it up and get it all good. Alright, so as you can see, our meat is just about done. We did add a little bit more salt just because we thought it was a little bland on that side, but if you do want to add more of your seasoning mix, feel free to do so. And so now we're just going to transfer this to a bowl, assemble the crunch wrap that we made, and then we're going to put it back in the pan to sieve it up.
All right, guys, what's up? I'm gonna show you how to cut the vegetables for our pico de gallo that we're gonna be making for this Crunch Wrap Supreme. So we have an onion that I have already peeled and cut in half. What we're gonna take our knife and we're going to slice off the end of it right there. So now you wanna make sure to keep the root right here. Don't wanna cut that off or else you're gonna be crying a lot. All right, we're gonna take it and we're just gonna make small cuts down the side. We're not gonna go all the way. We're not gonna cut it completely through. We're just gonna go relatively thin. Again, it depends how thick or thin you'd like the chop of your onion to be. I don't really mind. I prefer more of a rough chop, so as you can see, my lines aren't the thinnest, but that's okay. It all depends on what you prefer. All right, guys, now that we're done doing our cuts this way, we can now go down and do horizontal cuts. Since it's a very thick onion, I'm probably going to go ahead and slice it twice, I would say. So we're just going to, careful not to cut yourself, guys. Of course, knives are really sharp. I'm sure you know that. We're just going to take all our scraps because some of the skin is still left. We're just going to take that, move it aside, and then after we have, maybe we'll do one more quick little incision there. After we have done all that and made all our cuts, we're just going to go ahead and just chop down the length of it. All right, guys, we're back. We've diced it all up. Let's say it's a little too thick for your liking, a little too rough of a chop. You can just go through and just kind of maybe try and get it as thin to your liking. I decided I wanted it a little bit thinner, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. All right, a little cut there or something like that, you know what I mean? And then we'll come back when it's all like nice and All right, guys, so now that we have chopped it up to our liking, we're gonna take just a little bit and we're gonna just throw it in our bowl. And guys, with the rest of this, as you can see, there is a lot left. You can just save this for a garnish or whatever recipe you decide to make next. All right, guys, we're back. Now we're moving on to our tomatoes, so same deal. We're just gonna wanna cut this in half real quick. And what I would do, yeah, just instead of just going not all the way through, I'd just go through and just make sure, cut it into strips. And we'll be back after this is finished. All right, guys, we're all done now. We're just gonna take one of our halves and just, again, go down the other way and just dice. It's maybe a little harder since it does not want to stay together, but if you just keep going at it, you'll get it eventually. All right, guys, now that we're back, again, I decided to chop mine up a little thinner, just, again, to your liking. We're gonna take our tomato and just toss it in with our onions, and we're gonna get one. All right, guys, now that we've done that and we've made sure to get some of the tomato juice into our mixture so that we can get some nice moisture in there, we're gonna be cutting up a jalapeno. All right, pretty simple here. What we're gonna wanna do, just dice off the top, and optionally, you can take the seeds out because that's where all the spice is. So we're not gonna be doing that today because Mama didn't raise no punk. We're gonna cut it like that. And yeah, you can see all the seeds in there. We're gonna leave those in today. And we're just gonna wanna get it finely sliced here. All right, guys, now that we are back, we've cut it all up nice and thin. And again, we like the spice. So we're gonna go ahead and add all of this in to our pico de gallo here. And we're gonna move on to our next vegetable. All right, guys, next we've got cilantro. This is just preference. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stem off here, and we're gonna set that to the side. And now when you're chopping cilantro, it's a lot easier to bunch it up and fold it so that it's more compressed, and it's a lot easier to cut it that way. So we're gonna wanna fold it as much as we can. go ahead and take our knife, make sure it's all bunched up properly, and then go ahead. Sometimes you may need to rebunch what you've got left in case it comes loose, and that's okay. All right, guys, now you can see our cilantro is nice and thinly sliced, so we're gonna wanna go ahead and add this in to our mixture here, and we're gonna be moving on to the last vegetable that we have to cut. All right, guys, now we're back with our final vegetable that we're gonna be cutting. This one's not actually going into the pico de gallo, but it will be going on top of our crunch wrap. So we're gonna go ahead and take care of it now. If you can't tell, this is an avocado. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're just gonna want to just go right down in the middle, and then you can actually just rotate the avocado here around your knife, and it's right up against the pit. So once you're all done with that, you can go ahead and split it in half, and boom. Now you have two perfect halves, and you can just go ahead and try it again here. There we go. Now we got the pit out, and we can set that aside as we are not going to be using that for anything. What we're going to want to do is take our knife and run down the avocado nice and evenly in little parallel lines here, and I'll show you why in just a second. All right, guys, we're back, and as you can see, our lines are done. We've cut nice little lines along the length of the avocado. We're gonna go ahead and take a spoon, and we're just gonna go ahead and scoop our slices out. Now, it doesn't have to be the prettiest thing, of course, because this is going inside of our crunch wrap, and therefore, no one's gonna see it. It's only about the taste, guys, all right? So we're gonna go ahead and take all this out, and it actually turned out pretty nice. We've got nice little slices here, and this is gonna be really good in our crunch wrap.
All right, guys, one of the last things we have to do to finish this off is assemble it. So we've already got a spinach wrap on the bottom here. It's a lot lower in calorie than a regular tortilla, as you might imagine. We've also got some low-fat cheese that we put on top. Again, lower in calorie, lower in fat, generally healthier for you. And then to kind of replace the creaminess of sour cream that you might miss, we have our avocado, of course. Again, it's gonna be a lot healthier for you than the sour cream is. And we're going a little light on the portions because we want to be able to close this, of course. But we're going to start next with our turkey that we have just cooked up. And again, guys, when you think beef versus turkey, turkey has a lot more protein than beef. So if you're looking to get big, get more muscle mass, turkey is going to help you out a lot. We're just going to spoon a pretty good amount on, and we'll be back. All right, guys, one last scoop. And again, when you think of turkey versus beef, we're looking at the ratio of fat to protein. Obviously, turkey is lower in fat than beef is, and especially because it's a lot leaner, so it is a lot better for you. It has a lot more protein compared to the fat amount. All right, next we're gonna move on to our pico de gallo. Actually, let's make sure that this is properly dispersed out here. We don't want very uneven because you want the goodness in every single bite. All right, next, we're gonna move on to our pico de gallo that we have just made. Looks very good, right? We're gonna add some on, just again, add however much you want. We're gonna make sure, of course, that we can close this in the end. I think that's one of the most important parts. So I think that's good. All right, guys, one last thing is we're going to be using tortilla chips instead of tostados because it's a lot easier to find and come across at your local store. And yeah, and just the regular kind because we're not using that much, so it won't make a big impact on the overall carbs of the dish. So we're just gonna take a few here, and as you can see, we'll start with one. You're just gonna want to lay it out, and since they're triangle shaped, it can end up nicely in a circle here. And we'll take four. Four sounds like a great amount. There we go, look at that. All right, guys, so now that we have fully sealed it up, of course, we don't want it to come undone at all. So we're going to just try and flip it over as neat as we possibly can. And we are gonna get ready for the stove. All right, guys, the final step in this process is to put it back on the stove and seal it all up. All right, so we're gonna take the same pan that we used for the turkey, just because it's already got some oil in there, so nothing's gonna be sticking. And we are going to take our crunch wrap here, keep it as neat and tightly compact as possible. And we're just gonna place it on. We're gonna leave that for a little bit, just enough time for it to toast up and seal. We'll be right back. All right guys, we have flipped it over, and as you can see, it is nice and sealed up. We're gonna let the other side toast for a little bit, and we're gonna be right back for the final cross-section reveal. All right guys, we are back for our final cross-section test. It's pretty clear to tell which is which here. Obviously this is ours. It's got more thickness to it, and this is the Taco Bell one, you know, kind of unfortunate if you ask me. We're gonna cut into this one first and see what it's got going on. All right, pretty thin here. Looks like they don't give you a lot of meat. You know, the sour cream actually looks like what there's most of in here. And we're gonna cut into ours and see how well we did. All right, so in my opinion, it looks a lot better. You can see it's got the pico de gallo in there. You can see all the layers nice and clear, and we've got a ton of meat in there, which is what you're probably looking for. All right, only thing is left is to taste it. Okay guys, we have done it. We've made our version of the Crunchwrap Supreme from Taco Bell. We looked at the cross section here. We determined, we may be biased, but we thought ours won. We're gonna go ahead and give both a try and see what's going on. So this is the Taco Bell one first. I'm just gonna It was all right, guys. Honestly, I don't know what to say. Pretty average, pretty bare bones if you ask me. Now we're gonna go ahead and try our version. All right, guys, here it is. We're gonna go ahead and take a bite and see what Taco Bell's missing. All right, guys, I would say ours wins hands down. Presentation, size, amount of meat in it, and also the flavor as well. I'm saying, boom, 4 categories that I just made up. We're winning in them, guys. Also, it was super easy to make at home, which we just did. We showed you how we're future fit again. Check out our other videos, and we'll see you next time. Stay cooking.